I did a podcast tonight on Tate hate. What is Tate hate? It's people that hate Tate and they really don't know anything about him. What I mean by that is none of us know a lot about him unless you've met him personally and spent time with him. I only know what I see his videos, what he says about him, what he portrays himself to be. Now these people have only seen clips of his videos. I doubt seriously if any of them have ever sat down and spent hours watching his interviews. I have watched a lot of his interviews for hours. He did one with Patrick Bet-David. I watched that one. There was another one he did. I can't remember who it was with, but it was like 4 or 5 hours long. It was a great interview. I watched that. And what people do is they take things out of context. I had a conversation with someone the other day who was more or less a Tate hater, and he was talking about how the phone conversation, which is supposed to be Andrew Tate, I'm not sure if it is, where he talked about how he enjoyed graping that woman. And I asked him, I said, well, it's strange about that conversation because they only show one side, they only play one side. I said, I think it would be better if they played both sides of the conversation. I said, it's out of context. And he said, well, what difference does that make? He said, Andrew's saying what he did. Well, I find it strange that, first off, that a woman would have a conversation with him about that if he actually did physically abuse her. Second, I find it strange and very stupid if he would actually call her up if he had done that to her and have that conversation with her. I don't think he's quite that ignorant. And thirdly, you cannot tell what was she saying. They could have been just doing dirty talk. It could have just been a game they were playing. That's why I have to wonder, because I've seen so many clips they put of him out of context on YouTube and different places where, well, the good example is one where they said he was abusing that woman. She's got on there and made 2 videos saying that she did that consensually. It's not like, I don't know how many people are into that BDSM type role play stuff. It's not my cup of tea, but if that's what you like, that's cool. As I've said before, I like the message Andrew Tate sends. I wouldn't live his lifestyle the way he does, but that's okay. I'm sure he wouldn't want to live my lifestyle raising 6 kids. So each to his own. But they play it out of context, and the mainline news media says, oh, he beats women. There's a video of him beating a woman. Well, there's some truth to that. He is hitting her, but she wanted it. A lot of women like that. That wasn't how it was back in my day, but things have changed. I mean, some women like to be choked. I've heard that's another one of the recordings they got, something about him choking somebody. So it amazes me, and this is why gossip is so bad, because you're talking about something you know nothing about. What I'm giving you here now is my opinion. I don't know for sure one way or the other, but I'm not going to give you something that makes him look good, but it's out of context. But on the other hand, I don't think anybody should put something on that is damning that's out of context also. And that's what a lot of the mainline news media do, and a lot of these feminine, weak men are doing, these YouTubers. I guess just for, it's like some people will do anything to get views at the expense of someone else's reputation or even someone else's freedom. Because a lot of times people are convicted by what's on the news before they ever get a trial. But you can't view any of this out of context, and the reality is I don't know whether he did what they said he did or not. Now, because I'm pro-Tate, I'll say it that way, because I like his message and I understand what he's involved in. He has had the webcam business. Now, here's how that works. If he had that, which he says he did, and that's part of what he's being accused of, human trafficking, I think, it's just as easy, and I've experienced some of this before, it's just as easy for one of those girls to get pissed off at him down the road and say, well, I couldn't leave there. Well, he forced me to do that. He told me if I left, he was going to abuse me. I mean, that's how simple it is. I've experienced false accusations, and I've experienced a prejudiced judicial system. And when you get that lined up against you, that's someone's word is not so much evidence. It could be true or it may not be true. What are the motives of the people behind that saying that? How are they motivated? Why are they doing that? Why is it when they were there everything was okay, and now all of a sudden it wasn't okay? Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. With that being said, what I mean by that is this. Many times girls, women, will do things like that. For example, the webcam business, they were making money, everything was good. And then maybe they got out of a line, like maybe they weren't getting out of bed to do their work, they didn't want to do it or whatever, so he got pissed off and said, hey, you got to leave. Or maybe he didn't get pissed off, maybe he just said, look, you're here to work, and if you don't want to work, you have to leave. So they're angry. So then they look back in a few months or whatever, and they regret what they did, showing themselves to everybody on webcam. But these girls were already doing, some of them were already doing that, okay? And then they feel like they regret it. So then they start looking at it through their emotional lens, and they feel like they were tricked or forced. There's that lover boy law where a woman can say that, well, he promised me that we were going to have something together, we were going to get married, or he was going to take care of me, whatever number of things it might be, and then he just used me or he exploited me sexually. I mean, that's the way they could feel about it later on, although they didn't feel like that at the time they were doing it. But looking back in retrospect, and what has it said? That 75% of what we remember is not true. So they look back through the emotional lens of regret and remorse, and they start viewing it in that way. And that absolves them of any responsibility. As far as I know, these women are adults. They're over 18. They made a choice to go there. What if what if one of them flew in from California? Let's say they came from another country or whatever, and he was having them work there doing the webcam business, which they agreed to. And then all of a sudden, they weren't doing the job they agreed to do, and he put them out. So they look at it like this. Well, they had nowhere to go. He put them out on the street. But we forget these people are adults. These women are adults. Why are they not adults why are they adults until something happens where they have to make a responsible choice or they get put in a tough position, and then all of a sudden they're not adults. They're not responsible. It's not their fault. If it were a man in the same situation, nobody would think anything of putting him out on the street because he wasn't doing his job, whatever it happened to be. But when it's a woman, she's a victim. Now, maybe they are victims. I'm just giving you the hypothetical situation here, which could possibly be, which I have experienced myself. It's all good and fine when they're getting what they want. But then if things don't go their way, even if they're responsible for the things changing direction, they want to say that it's somebody else's fault, that they were tricked, that they were fooled, that they were taken advantage of, that they were exploited. A man doesn't have that option, but yet they want to be equal with men. Now, this is not all women. I'm just talking about some women. But if this pisses you off, it probably applies to you. Because I've learned in life, when someone says something that pisses me off, it's usually something I've done or something I'm doing that I don't want to take a look at it. Now, a lot of people don't have the consciousness level to do that. They want to blame everybody else instead of taking responsibility for their actions. But you're never going to have any kind of a decent life if you want to go play the blame game all your life. And as I said, I have no idea what happened. I only know what I've heard here and there, and that's no different than you guys. But I'm certainly not going to convict him, and I'm not saying he's innocent of these charges either. But I see so many people convicting him of being guilty and putting things out there, gossip-orientated, slanted in a way that's going to make him look guilty. But I don't see people putting things out there to make him look innocent. I do see people putting things out there in context of the whole conversation to renege these parts that people have put out there, just little slants and little clips of things that makes him look bad. If you guys were honest with yourself, none of my viewers, none of my 1,661 viewers would do this, but some people just want to make it look like he's bad, whether he is or not. And time will tell. But as I said, unless he admits he did this himself, I will still have my doubts because I know how the system works and I know how women look back on things and see them quite differently than they were when they were in the situation. So take that for what it's worth. Just my opinion doesn't mean it's true or false. And I'm not saying it to hate on anybody or to belittle anybody. You have a right to your opinion just as I have to mine. Take care, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.